Everyone expected the human soldier to run, but instead, he ran towards the fire. In the dark sky above a beautiful blue planet, warships floated like monsters in space. Red lights flashed. Explosions shook the air. The stars seemed to cry as two great forces, humans and aliens, fought for power. But down below, on the quiet green hills of the planet, a different kind of story was about to begin. A young human soldier named Kai was running. Fast, low, quiet. His gun was almost empty. His uniform was torn. His face was sweaty, but his eyes were sharp. He was trained to fight. He was trained to survive. But today something strange was happening. As he crossed a burned field, he heard a sound, a weak cry. It was not from a soldier. It was soft, scared, like someone hurt and hiding. Kai stopped. He looked around. Smoke covered the land. Laser fire lit up the sky like deadly fireworks. He could turn back. Go find his team. Stay safe. But he didn't. He moved toward the sound. Behind a broken silver ship under some heavy metal, he found her. A girl. She was young, maybe his age. Her skin was light purple, glowing softly in the dark. Her long silver hair was messy and full of ash. Her eyes, big and bright blue, were filled with pain and fear. She was not human, she was alien. But Kai didn't shoot. He didn't shout. He didn't run. Instead, he dropped his weapon. The girl tried to move, but she was trapped. Her leg was caught under a sharp piece of metal. Blood, purple and shining, dripped slowly. Kai didn't think twice. He rushed to her side and pushed the metal with all his strength. It cut his arm. Blood poured down, but the metal moved and she was free. She looked at him confused. Why? She whispered. Kai smiled weakly. Because you were crying, he picked her up. She was light, too light, like someone who hadn't eaten in days. She leaned against his chest, shaking. Hold on, he said. I'll take you somewhere safe. As he walked through the war zone carrying her, enemy drones flew above them. He ducked into a cave hidden by trees and rocks. Inside it was quiet. He laid her down gently and ripped a piece of his shirt to stop her bleeding. Then he used the rest to wrap his own arm. It hurt, but he didn't show it. The girl watched him, her eyes wide. You're not afraid? She asked. Should I be? Kai joked. You look like you couldn't hurt a fly. She gave a small smile. I'm more dangerous than I look, he raised an eyebrow. Yeah? Me too. They both laughed just a little. Then silence returned. Kai leaned against the cave wall, breathing hard. He had saved an enemy girl. He didn't know why. Maybe it was her eyes. Maybe it was the way she looked so scared, or maybe he was just tired of fighting. She looked at him again. Her voice was soft. You don't know who I am. No, Kai said. Do I need to? She didn't answer. Outside, the war continued. Ships crashed. Guns roared. The sky turned red with fire, but in the cave for a few short minutes there was peace. Kai closed his eyes. The pain in his arm was growing. The blood wouldn't stop. But he didn't complain. The girl moved closer. She touched his hand gently. Thank you, she whispered. He smiled. You're welcome, Miss Alien, she laughed quietly. My name is Saphira, Kai nodded. Nice to meet you, Saphira. I'm Kai. Their hands stayed close, and in that moment, something strange and powerful began. Something the galaxy didn't expect. Not hate. Not fear. But a spark. You don't even know who I am, she whispered. Then why did you bleed for me? The cave was still. Outside, war raged like a monster screaming in the sky. Ships exploded in the air, lasers lit up the night, and the ground shook now and then. But inside the small cave, it felt like time had stopped. Kai sat near the fire he made from broken wood and old metal. His arm was tightly wrapped with cloth, but the pain still burned. He didn't show it, though. His eyes were on the girl sitting a few steps away. Her name was Saphira. She wasn't human. Her skin was soft purple, glowing faintly in the firelight. Her long silver hair was now clean, and her leg, once trapped under wreckage, was healing fast. But her eyes were filled with questions. She stared at him without speaking for a long time. Kai could feel it. He was used to battlefields, guns, and orders. But this silence, this girl, she made him nervous in a different way. Finally, she spoke. Why did you save me? Kai looked up. She tilted her head. Her voice was calm but serious. You were bleeding. You could have died. You risked your life. For me, Kai blinked. Then he smiled, a little tired. You were crying, he said. I don't like seeing people cry. I'm not people, she said. I'm an alien. A Valerian. Kai nodded slowly. You're still someone. You were scared, hurt, alone. That's enough. Saphira looked down at her hands. She seemed to be thinking hard. Then without looking up, she whispered, You don't even know who I am. Kai tilted his head. Should I? She didn't answer. The fire cracked softly. The heat warmed their faces. The wind outside howled like a sad ghost. The moment felt quiet but heavy. Kai reached into his small bag and pulled out half a ration bar. He offered it to her. She hesitated. Don't worry, he said. No poison. Just bad taste. She gave a small smile and took it. As she ate, Kai leaned back and stared at the ceiling of the cave. You know, he said slowly, back on Earth, I had a little sister. She used to cry during storms. I'd sit beside her and tell her stupid stories until she smiled. Saphira looked at him. You miss her? Every day, he said. Silence again. Then she said, I had a sister too. Kai looked at her. She died, Saphira said, her voice soft as wind. She was taken by your army. Kai froze. He didn't speak. He couldn't. His throat tightened. I hated humans after that, she continued. Every time I saw your kind, I wanted to scream. To destroy, Kai finally said, and now? Saphira looked at him, really looked. You bled for me, she said. That doesn't make sense, Kai shrugged. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's time something didn't make sense. She gave a strange smile. You're a strange human, he grinned. I've been told worse. Suddenly, a noise outside made both of them freeze. Footsteps. Saphira grabbed Kai's arm. Her grip was strong. Too strong. Shh, she whispered. The footsteps passed. A scout drone flew by, humming softly. Then silence again. They waited. After some minutes, they relaxed. Kai looked at her hand still on his arm. Still holding me, he joked. She pulled back quickly, embarrassed. Sorry, he smiled. I didn't mind. For the first time, Saphira blushed. Her glowing skin turned a bit pink under her cheeks. Kai studied her. She was not just some alien girl. She was hiding something. A big something. Her strength, her calmness, the way she spoke, it felt royal. He didn't say anything. Not yet. Saphira turned to him again. Thank you, she said. For what? For not asking who I really am. Kai looked into her eyes. You'll tell me when you're ready. Saphira stared at him, heart beating fast. Nobody had ever said that to her. Not in her world. Not in the palace. Not even her guards. Only this strange, brave human with bleeding arms and tired eyes. In that cave, under the sky of war, something invisible began to grow. A quiet bond, a small light. Not love, not yet, but something very close. A human and an alien. Enemies by blood, but connected by something deeper. The fire burned low and the night moved on. I am not just a girl, she said softly. I'm the one your army wants dead. The cave was quiet, but the silence was heavy. The war outside had moved further away. Only distant booms echoed now. But inside, something more dangerous than war was about to rise. Kai was sharpening a broken metal rod, turning it into a small spear. His wounded arm still ached, but he worked slowly and calmly. Across from him, Saphira watched with quiet eyes, her hands wrapped around a warm drink he had made from local herbs. He didn't know the herbs were royal medicine. He just picked them because they smelled nice. She didn't tell him, but tonight, she would. Kai looked up at her. You're quiet today, he said, smiling gently. Tired? Saphira shook her head slowly. No, just thinking, he nodded. That can be dangerous. She gave a small laugh, but it faded fast. Kai, she said, can I ask you something? Of course. What would you do, she said, if the person you trusted turned out to be your enemy? Kai paused. He set down the sharp rod and looked at her. I'd feel hurt, maybe angry, he said, but I'd want to know why they lied. Sometimes people hide for a reason. Saphira lowered her eyes. That's what I hoped you'd say. She stood up slowly and walked to the edge of the cave. The firelight flickered across her glowing skin. Her silver hair moved softly with the breeze. She looked almost like a dream, too perfect to be real. But her next words brought reality crashing back. Kai, My name is not just Saphira. He looked up. She turned to face him, her hands shaking slightly. My full name is Princess Saphira Valentar of Valeria, heir to the throne, daughter of the High King, and target of your army. Silence. Kai didn't move. He didn't blink. Saphira kept speaking, her voice stronger now. The girl you saved is the very one your commanders were ordered to kill. I am the reason this war started. My father refused to give Earth the mining rights to our crystals, so your leaders sent soldiers. Sent you. Still, Kai said nothing. Saphira stepped closer. Her heart beat so loudly she could hear it in her ears. I should have told you from the start, but I didn't know if I could trust you. And then, you bled for me, and I couldn't lie anymore. She waited. Kai finally stood up. His face was unreadable. You're the princess, he said slowly. The one from the reports. They said she vanished after her ship crashed. Saphira nodded. Yes, I vanished, and then you found me. Kai looked at her for a long moment. Then he laughed once, just a short breath of disbelief. Well, he said, I always thought my life was boring. Saphira blinked. You're not angry? He walked past her, looked out the cave mouth at the stars. I should be, he said. You're the enemy. My people think you're dangerous. A threat to the galaxy, but... He turned back to her. You made tea when I was dying. You tied my bandage better than any soldier. You laughed at my stupid jokes. You sat beside me when I cried in my sleep. That's not what enemies do. Saphira's eyes shimmered. I'm sorry I lied. Kai gave a small smile. You're not the only one. Earth lied too. They told us your people were monsters. But so far I've only met one Valerian. And she's more human than most humans I know. Tears rolled down Saphira's cheeks now. She stepped forward but stopped herself. I'll leave in the morning, she said quietly. It's safer for you if I go. No, Kai said quickly. If you leave, you'll be caught. I can't let you die for me, Kai. He stepped closer. I already did once, he said. I'll do it again if I have to. Their eyes met. The fire flickered behind them like a heartbeat. I don't care if you're a princess, he whispered. To me, you're just... Saphira. She closed the space between them and gently placed her forehead against his. I don't want to run anymore, she said. Then don't, he replied. Stay, fight, with me. And at that moment, a bond stronger than war and blood was formed. But far above them, in the shadows of the stars, a signal blinked. Someone had found them, and the galaxy was not ready for what was coming next. If you fall, I fall, Kai said quietly. That's the deal now. Night had fallen over the forest. The wind carried the smell of smoke and metal. In the distance, explosions flashed like lightning. The war had returned to the skies. But inside the cave there was something far more dangerous than the battle outside. Love mixed with fear. Kai sat by the fire, sharpening his knife. His face was pale, his hands shaking. His arm wound had reopened and blood was dripping slowly down his fingers. Saphira watched him with worry in her eyes. You're bleeding again, she said softly. Walking closer. It's fine, Kai said, forcing a smile. Humans leak sometimes, but Saphira didn't smile. She knelt beside him and gently touched his arm. Her fingers glowed faintly, like silver light wrapping around his skin. Kai froze. What are you doing? Helping, she whispered. Her glow grew brighter. The light spread from her hands to his arm. Kai felt warmth rush through his body, like sunlight after a storm. The bleeding stopped. The pain faded. He blinked. You can heal? Saphira nodded. A little. It's a royal gift. She turned away quickly as if she had said too much. But Kai saw the sadness in her eyes. Something was wrong. Something deeper. What's really going on, Saphira? He asked quietly. She hesitated, then looked at him. Her voice trembled. The king, my father, has a device that tracks our life signals. Mine was fading. That means he knows I'm injured. He will send search ships here soon. Kai's heart raced. Then we need to move now. Saphira shook her head. No, if we move, they'll see our heat trace. They'll find us faster. She looked at his wound again, her expression tightening. Your body is weak. The infection from alien soil will spread. You'll die before sunrise. Kai laughed softly. I've heard that before. But Saphira didn't laugh. Her hands were shaking now. There is one way, she said, almost in a whisper. What way? She looked up at him, eyes glowing faintly blue. A Valerian blood oath. It connects two lives as one. If I give you my life energy, you'll heal. But our souls will link. If one of us dies, the other dies too. Kai stared at her in shock. That's insane. She nodded sadly. It's forbidden. A royal cannot share their blood with an outsider. If they find out, I'll lose my crown. My father will call me tainted. Kai shook his head. No, I won't let you do that. But Saphira stepped closer. You saved me, Kai. Now let me save you. Before he could stop her, she drew a small dagger from her belt and sliced her palm. Her glowing purple blood dripped like tiny stars, then she reached for his hand. Saphira, don't. Her eyes met his. You bled for me. Now I bleed for you. She pressed her palm to his. Her blood mixed with his and light burst between them, white, golden, alive. Kai gasped. It felt like fire and ice together. His heart pounded. He saw flashes, her memories. A palace of crystal towers, a small girl running through gardens. Her father's cold eyes, the crown she never wanted. And she saw his memories too. A small home on earth, his sister laughing. His mother's old songs. The sky before war. When the light faded, they both fell to the ground, breathing hard. Saphira touched her chest. It's done, she whispered. Our blood, our lives, are one, Kai sat up slowly. His wound was gone, only a faint silver mark remained. He looked at her. You're insane, he said softly. Saphira smiled weakly. Maybe, but now you'll live. He wanted to be angry, but he couldn't. He saw how pale she looked now, how weak her breath was. The ritual had drained her. You gave me your strength, he said quietly. I gave you my life, she replied. Don't waste it. He held her as she trembled in his arms. Outside, the war roared louder. A ship passed overhead. A scanner light flashed across the forest. They're coming, Kai said. Saphira nodded. Then we run. Together. He looked into her eyes, glowing faintly through tears. From now on, Kai said firmly, gripping her hand. If you fall, I fall. That's the deal now. She smiled faintly. Then may the stars protect us both. And together they ran into the darkness. Two souls bound by blood, hunted by both sides, and tied forever by something the galaxy had forgotten. Trust. The galaxy does not forgive a princess who gives her life to a human. The stars above the blue planet were no longer silent. Warships circled like hungry sharks. Satellite scanners moved slowly, sweeping every tree, every shadow, every breath of life. In the middle of this chaos, Kai and Princess Saphira ran. They didn't speak. They didn't stop. They knew they were being hunted. The Valerian King's elite search unit, the Shadow Guard, was closing in. These soldiers didn't ask questions. They obeyed one command only: bring the princess home, alive, or in pieces. Kai's boots hit the soft ground fast, his eyes scanning every tree. His wounds were healed thanks to the blood oath, but Saphira wasn't the same. Her steps were slower now. The ritual had drained her. Her skin glowed less, her voice was quiet, her breath uneven. You need to rest, Kai said, stopping near a thick group of trees. No time, she whispered, gripping his arm. If they find us standing still, we're dead. He looked at her, really looked. Her face was pale. Her legs shook. Her strength was slipping fast. You're going to collapse, he said. Then carry me. She smiled weakly. So he did. He lifted her into his arms like she weighed nothing. Her head rested against his shoulder. Her heart beat softly against his chest. He could feel the warmth of her skin, the truth of their bond. Their lives were tied now. If one fell, the other would fall too, and that made them both a target. They found an old hideout built into the mountain wall, a bunker half buried in vines and moss. Kai kicked the door open and slid inside with her. He locked it behind them. Darkness, silence, only the sound of their breathing. He laid her gently on the metal floor. Her hand clung to his. They'll find us, she said softly. Kai nodded. Then we make them regret it. He searched the room. Old weapons, a broken radio, one half-dead light, but one thing caught his eye. A blast shield. Heavy. Strong. Enough to block scanners for a few hours. He pulled it over the entrance and turned to her. We have time now. She looked at him with tired eyes. You should have left me. Kai knelt beside her. I would have died. She tried to smile. You're stubborn. You chose me, he whispered, brushing hair from her face. Before your whole galaxy. That means something. Her lips trembled. My father will kill you for this. Then I'll make him work for it. Above them in the sky a giant ship appeared. The Valerian royal vessel, black gold and burning with power, descended from orbit. Inside stood King Valar, Saphira's father, watching the land through the glass with cold, hard eyes. Activate the blood signal, he ordered. A guard pressed a button. A deep hum echoed across the mountains. Saphira felt it first, a burning pain in her chest. She gasped. Kai grabbed her. What's happening? They've activated the call, she said, shaking. My blood. They're pulling me. Kai held her tight. Fight it. I can't, she whispered. It's like chains around my heart. He didn't wait. He took the small knife from his belt and sliced across his hand. Blood dripped. Saphira looked at him confused. What are you doing? You're not facing this alone, he said. We're bound, remember? He pressed his bloody hand against hers. The blood oath reawakened. A flash of white light exploded between them, pure energy surging back into her. The chains broke. The pain faded. She gasped, breathing hard, then looked at him with wide eyes. You stopped it? He nodded. Told you. If you fall, I fall. She laughed softly through tears. I don't deserve you, she whispered. Too late, he grinned. You already got me. Outside, scanners screamed. The shield had been detected. The king's guards surrounded the area, moving like shadows through the trees. The royal ship landed. Kai and Saphira knew what came next. This is our last stand, Kai said. She sat up slowly, strength returning. Then let's make it count. She took his hand, stood tall, and for the first time, let her royal voice rise. This is Princess Saphira Valentar of Valeria, she shouted toward the metal walls. And I stand with the human who bled for me. Her voice echoed through the mountains. The guards froze. The king's face twisted in rage. The galaxy would hear those words. The hunt had begun. But now, the hunted were ready. They want us to be enemies, she said, her voice shaking. But I choose him, before all of you. A giant silver hall floated in space like a crown among the stars. It was shaped like a half-moon, with high glass walls and golden symbols from hundreds of planets. Inside, the most powerful leaders of the galaxy had gathered, ambassadors, kings, queens, and high-ranking commanders from every star system. This was the Galactic Council chamber, where peace was made, and sometimes where lives were broken, and today, they waited for one thing, the trial of Princess Saphira Valentar. At the center of the hall stood a round platform glowing with light. On it stood Saphira, wearing a long white cloak marked with the royal Valerian crest. But her head was held high, her eyes sharp, her voice steady. She was no longer just a princess. She was a warrior who had chosen a human. And beside her, wearing a simple black jacket and battle-worn boots, stood Kai, no crown, no title, just a human, soldier. But he stood tall too, like he belonged in that room of stars and power. A deep voice boomed from above. You have broken sacred law, said a three-eyed judge from Andros Prime. A royal cannot share blood with an outsider, much less a human, added a tall green figure from Trinox, his voice full of disgust. A screen above showed images. Kai bleeding, Saphira healing him, the blood oath being formed. Gasps filled the room. Saphira stepped forward. I gave him my blood because he gave me his heart, she said. He saved me when no one else would. Not because I was a princess, but because I was just someone in pain, the council murmured. The Valerian ambassador stood, face red with anger. You have shamed your father, your planet, and your bloodline. You let emotions cloud your duty. Saphira didn't blink. My father taught me how to rule, she said. But Kai taught me how to live. Kai turned toward the council. He cleared his throat and spoke, slowly and clearly. I didn't plan any of this. I didn't even know who she was. I just saw someone scared, someone hurt, and I couldn't walk away. He looked at Saphira. Maybe I should have. Maybe it would have saved us this trial, but I don't regret it. Not even for a second. A young queen from the water moons leaned forward. You knew she was your enemy, yet you protected her. Why? Kai's answer was simple. She wasn't my enemy. Not in that moment. Not in that cave. Not when she gave me her blood to save my life. The room went silent. Then the High Judge, from the core world, spoke. There is only one way to close this case. Everyone leaned in. You must renounce your bond, he said. Break the blood oath. Say it means nothing. And the council will let you go. Both of you. Saphira's heart froze. Break the bond? Deny what they shared? Forget the moments in the cave, the pain, the laughter, the firelight. The promise? She looked at Kai. He didn't say a word. He just looked at her, trusting her, letting her choose. Saphira stepped forward, voice shaking, hands cold. I cannot do that. Whispers burst across the room. The judge frowned. Explain. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, then raised her voice, strong, clear, royal. I, Princess Saphira Valentar, heir to the Valerian throne, do not renounce my bond. I do not deny the oath. I accept it. I honor it. She turned to the crowd. You all want me to be a perfect daughter, a perfect ruler, a perfect Valerian. She looked at Kai. But I want to be something real. And then, in front of the galaxy, she walked to Kai, took his hand and said, I choose this human as my life mate. Not in secret, not in shame, but before all of you. The room exploded. Some shouted in anger, some clapped in surprise, some stormed out, but the moment was done. It was real, unbreakable. Outside the chamber, on his ship, King Valar watched in silence. His face unreadable. His daughter had chosen a path he could not control. But one thing was clear. The galaxy had changed forever. They called it madness, but the stars would remember it as the beginning of something new. The council chamber was no longer quiet. Some planets called it rebellion. Some called it love. Others called it treason. But Princess Saphira Valentar and the human soldier Kai Renner did not wait for the galaxy to decide. They left, together. They disappeared into the stars before the vote could be made, before the kings and judges could argue, before anyone could stop what had already begun. Now, weeks later, their ship flew low over the edge of a dead world, once a battlefield, now only ruins. Inside the ship, Kai sat at the controls, his hands calm but ready. Saphira stood beside him, dressed not in royal robes, but in armor, light silver fitted for war and freedom. She no longer looked like a hidden princess. She looked like a leader, a rebel, a symbol. Do you think they'll meet us? Kai asked. Saphira nodded. If they believe in the future, they will. They landed near an old watchtower, burned and broken by past wars. The sky above was orange, the clouds low. The air smelled like ash, but one by one ships began to appear, small ones, big ones, ugly patched-together rebel crafts. Some were flown by humans, some by aliens, all flown by those who were tired of fighting, those who wanted peace but knew peace never came. Without risk, a large alien stepped out first. His face had scars, his eyes bright red. I was ordered to hunt you, he growled. Now I've come to follow you. Saphira nodded. We don't ask for loyalty. Only choice. Kai stepped beside her. You choose freedom, you stand with us. Another voice spoke up, a young human woman in a pilot suit. They said you were both crazy, that you'd be killed within days. We probably will be, Kai smiled. But we'll die standing, Saphira added, not kneeling. More nodded. More ships landed. More rebels joined. That night, around a fire made from crashed ship parts, Kai looked at the growing group, maybe 50, maybe more. Different races, different pasts. One dream. Saphira sat beside him, her hand resting on his. Do you regret it? She asked softly. Kai looked at her. At first I thought I saved a girl in trouble. Then I learned she was a princess. Then I learned she was my enemy. He smiled. But I never regretted a second of it. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I used to think I would marry a prince, wear gold, rule a kingdom from a crystal chair. She laughed quietly. Now I'm hiding in a broken outpost, holding a human's hand, eating burned rations. Kai raised an eyebrow. So, this is better? She kissed his cheek. Much better. But peace didn't last long. The next day, warning lights lit up the skies. A royal fleet had followed them. Not her father's personal ship, but soldiers loyal to the crown. They sent one message: surrender the princess, or be destroyed. Kai and Saphira stood in front of their new allies. She didn't hide. She didn't run. She walked onto the battlefield with no crown, no shield, only her name and her voice. "I will not surrender," she said. "But I offer something else." The crowd listened. "I offer a new Valeria, a new bond between humans and aliens, a bond born not from war but from one moment, a human choosing to bleed for someone not like him." She turned to Kai. "He didn't ask who I was. He didn't care about my blood, my crown, my name. He just saved me." She looked back at the fleet in the sky. "And that's the kind of world I now choose to build." The royal ships hesitated. For a long time, nothing moved. Then one by one, they turned away. Some flew back to the stars. Some dropped supplies for the rebels. Some sent quiet messages. "We are listening." Later, as the sun rose over the broken world, Kai stood beside Saphira. "You just talked down a fleet," he said. "How does that feel?" She smiled. Like the start of something beautiful, they held hands, not as princess and soldier, not as symbols, but as two souls, who had found each other in the fire of her and turned that fire into light. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would they.